I went into the rabbit hole of Amazon, groups, YouTube, everything.
If you would have approached this from an e-commerce seller's perspective, right? People probably would have said, don't do supplements.
My engineering, like first principles, mindset, which is like, I'm gonna change one thing and see what happens.
Scaling that operation then is a whole different story.
You'll never fail if you never quit. Once you quit, you failed.
Thanks for joining me, man.
Dude, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a minute. The last
been a
time
year
we
and a
talked,
half.
it's been a year and a half.
Yeah.
I was living in LA when I
No way.
interviewed you last.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was I living in LA?
You were living in LA. Are you
Okay.
not anymore?
I am.
Oh, you are still there. Okay.
Yeah, LA, I love LA, dude.
You're gonna stay there?
Heaven.
You're gonna stay in LA?
I'm gonna stay there.
Die-hard fan.
Yeah, I mean it is really heaven. I mean there's no more masks, so it's like no one can knock on it anymore.
See, it's
Yeah.
true. He lives in LA too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
As
good.
long as your primary residence is somewhere else, you know.
Oh, we could do a whole podcast about that.
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Okay, so let's talk supplements.
Yeah.
What is the name of your supplement brand? Or if you want to share.
Oh,
If you
of
wanna
course.
share.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's on my badge.
Okay,
First of all.
cool.
So
Right
no, it's MMA Nutrition is the main like where Mina was created from MMA Nutrition, and then I also have a Cognuro, which is a nootropic coffee alternative.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk both then.
Okay, cool.
The creation of what is it, MMA?
Yeah, MMA Nutrition.
Okay. What was the beginning of that? Like, what inspired the creation of that brand?
Okay, so September of 2018, I was on vacation in Egypt visiting my parents. And at this time, I graduated, in 2014, I graduated top of my class chemical engineer. I worked in corporate 9 to 5. I started at $35,000 a year salary, worked my way up. And I just kept hating my life more. And I kept achieving more success at work. And I was just at a point where I was like waking up in the morning, commuting 45 minutes to work, working 9 hours, commuting back, MMA, and I started training MMA at 2013.
Okay, nice.
So training MMA and then going to sleep, and I felt like my life was being sucked. Like 10 hours, five days a week. We're just like thrown, not passionate work.
Yep,
I
just
was good, but
Yep.
And so when I was in Egypt, I was like scrolling through, looking for different supplements, and my dad said, "Why are you looking at supplements so much?" I said, "Dude, because no one in the market makes like this right supplement," and he's like, "You should start a supplement brand." I said, "Bro, this is what it's gonna cost me.
This is your
100."
dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it's gonna cost me 100,000. I was like, "What do you know about starting a supplement brand?" It's gonna cost me. He's like, "How much does costing a supplement brand? How much does it cost to start a supplement brand?" And I said, "Let me look into it." And so I looked into it, and the supplement that I wanted was an electrolyte powder.
Okay.
I was on keto. I was training intensely, 3 hours a day, MMA.
Yep.
Sweating like crazy.
Yep.
And when you're on keto, your body doesn't hold the electrolytes and stuff as much. So I said I wanted something high sodium, low sugar, and something affordable, not like 30 servings for $35.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna spend $35 on electrolytes, $60 on protein, $40
It adds
on
up, yeah.
pre-workout. Like it's
And you're doing this for you. Like
For me.
you want to make something that you would use.
yeah, I made something that I would use, and I used it. So I looked at the ingredients, I went to like bulksupplements.com.
Yep.
I bought like the raw stuff, and it cost me $5 to make the product. And I said, dude, $5? I could sell this for 20, undercut all the competition. Like, this is easy. Obviously, didn't know that there is like marketing and
Sure,
Amazon
sure.
referral fees, all this stuff. But I created the product, and I started using it. And 5 days later, I'm like, I feel really good in wrestling class. I feel really good in the conditioning classes. Like, I mean, placebo. It's the placebo, And so I gave it to my friends, my teammates. I said, guys, I just got this from a supplement company. It's in beta mode.
Yep.
Test it out. Let me know what you
Wait,
think.
what? Just real quick, what was it in? What were you giving it to that? Was it in like?
Black unlabeled containers.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
dude.
So it's
we're gu-
unlabeled,
Yeah,
like-
we're guys at
Of course,
MMA.
no, of course.
People like you're opening, like you're doing weird
doesn't
stuff.
matter,
You're
yeah.
taping your shins. You're taping your eyebrows because maybe it's better for performance. Like
An unlabeled whatever
Yeah.
is not a big deal. Like no.
you're doing
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and so they're like, okay, cool, like, and they were hyped. They're like, oh, and like, there's some people like me who are like, what's the newest like cutting edge like Turkesterone like type of like stuff, right? And like let's test it, let's see if it
Yeah.
works. And so they were down to try it, and a few days later they're like, dude, you know what? I noticed that in the conditioning classes I'm not getting as tired, and it was very simple. It's because as you load up your body with, we all drank a gallon of water
Yeah.
a day. So as you load up your body with more electrolytes, your muscles can absorb more water, meaning they can physically perform better. Not like a pre-workout where like you're just mentally
You're just
there.
buzzed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. This is like you can actually lift and run and punch more. And so, that's how it started. I posted on Facebook. I said, okay, I officially am the owner of MMA Nutrition LC. Some guy commented. He said, I have an MMA event coming up in 3
No
weeks.
way.
I swear. He said, I'll get you a booth there for free.
No
we want to
way,
support
dude.
local business. I swear. So I'm like, oh, okay. What do I need? He's like, you need a banner, like a, Vistaprint banner.
Yep.
You need to bring product and you need to show up. I said, okay, easy. I got everything online, whatever. Went to Squarespace, made a page.
A website, yeah.
There's no checkout button, nothing. I didn't understand what the hell checkout or e-commerce anything means. And so
When was this? What year?
this was like September 2018 was the conversation with my dad.
Okay.
November 2nd, 2018 was the MMA event. So it's literally from September
Wow.
to November. Yeah, very, very quickly I got it done.
Did you have labels at this point in time?
Well, I hired a designer.
Okay.
And I went on Whole Foods. I got like a electrolyte powder. I ripped off their label, and I just like it was all of the same wording.
Yep.
But it was just my statements and my like brand look. And so I hired a designer. She was a friend from college. She did all the design. It looked bad. It looked bad.
I thought you were going to say good for a second, but
I showed up with these golden crinkly bags that had a sticker on them.
Yes.
And people were like, "Oh my God, I've been looking for this." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is better than On It. This is better than Gatorade. This is better than all of the competition."
because of what, the ingredients?
Yeah,
People
there
were
was-
looking for those
Yeah,
ingredients?
because if you look at most of the electrolyte supplements on the market, super low dose electrolytes, sugar,
Filler, like
filler,
fillers, yeah.
filler. I mean, and I understand now why filler, right? Because if you want something to taste phenomenal, you're gonna you have 30% active ingredients, 60% filler.
Yeah,
And then it's
yeah.
like, oh, this tastes really good. But if you want a high amount of filler, it's you're not gonna be able to make it taste good. So,
Sure.
anyways, they're like, where can I buy this? And I said,
Like, I got a website.
but you can't even check out. So I'm like, it's gonna be on Amazon soon. And they're like, oh, no way. I'm like, yeah, okay, let me know. Here's my email. I said, okay, cool. Then I went home. I'm like, oh my God, I just told
Shit.
everyone that this is gonna be on Amazon soon. And so I went into the rabbit hole of Amazon groups, YouTube, everything. And then 20 days later, exactly,
It was
I
up.
was live on Amazon.
No way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you knew, okay, that really obviously pushed you to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? You told those.
The fear of embarrassment.
Yeah, well, fear of a bit, and you got people wanting to buy your stuff, and
Yeah.
It's really tough for them to buy it. So
Yeah,
it makes
yeah,
sense
yeah.
you'd go hard.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I hate showing up to Vitamin Shop and some buff dude comes up to me and says, you should buy this pre-workout, it's gobble. And I'm like, you don't know even what clinical doses are. You don't even know that word. So don't tell me.
I find it, if you would have approached this from an e-commerce seller's perspective,
Yeah.
right? People probably would have said, don't do supplements,
yeah.
right? Like,
I mean, dude, one of my closest mentors before e-commerce, before entrepreneurship, he was almost like a dad to me. And when I got in, he later on after I found success, he's like, dude, when you started, I said, this guy's crazy. He's gonna lose all his money, and because everyone really thinks you're gonna lose all your money in supplements. And I mean, I don't blame them. It's very
Sure.
very competitive, but it can be done.
So what about this situation with you with MMA Nutrition kind of exceeded the expectation for supplement failure? Like, what about your brand, your product, do you think helped push past that boundary for supplements?
It was better than everyone else's. It was cheaper. So my next competition was $25. I was $19.99 when I launched. Now it's $28. Inflation. Inflation. So I was cheaper than everyone. I had more sodium, more potassium, more magnesium than everyone. I had no sugar. And so for the keto demographic, no one was serving that market. Now there's a few players that are doing
Yep.
keto electrolytes. But back then, no
Nothing.
one was serving, zero sugar electrolytes. No one was serving high sodium because you need sodium like
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're
yeah.
on keto. Like
So it was a much better alignment with the needs of the actual consumer,
Yeah,
giving them more of what they wanted.
yeah,
Essentially.
and I was the consumer.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I just
Exactly.
said, okay, how can I convince my skeptical self that this is a much better product? It's cheaper, no sugar, no fillers, no this. And I just took all that and put it into a product, and it worked.
So what about, okay, that got you there, but what about then scaling MMA Nutrition, right? Obviously, like this is the beginning phases. You put it on Amazon, people were there to buy it, but
Yeah.
scaling that operation then is a whole different story. What did that look like after
So
that point in time?
okay, on the Amazon side of things, two levers were I noticed were causing more success. Reviews. So the more I hit up people and said I really need a review and all this stuff, I saw that go up. And PPC. The more I spent on PPC, the more I made money. And initially it was like haphazard spending, auto campaigns, broad campaigns, whatever campaigns, just let it run. And then I started understanding like, okay, it's almost like throwing bait in the water. I'm throwing a bunch of keywords out there. Some of them work, some of them don't. You keep the ones that work, the ones that don't, you kind of, phase them out.
Yep.
And then you throw more in. And then you keep the ones that, and then the ones that don't, you phase them out. And then you start with 2 good bait in the water, 8 bad bait. And then it's 4, 6, 6, 4, and it just keeps growing.
Yep.
And now you have 100 things that are working, 100 keywords that are converting profitably. And then you're testing 2 new ones every week. And every week you're getting 2 new good keywords, 8 bad ones. So it's a constant investment. You're losing money, but now initially you're losing a lot.
Yep.
And now you already have a baseline of things that are working, and you're investing a little bit to just get that incremental growth.
This is a good transition into talking about, let's focus on PPC
Cool.
for a little bit, all right? So first primary question is, I'm actually really curious to hear what you think the biggest mistakes people are making in PPC right now. What are the biggest mistakes you see people making?
Okay, these are good. So I'll walk you through my audits,
Okay.
because that's how I can tell. Like, are you making a lot of mistakes? Yes. Okay, I can help your brand out pretty easily. So number one, low budgets. If you have $10, $20, $30, $50 budgets, that hurts people a lot. For the exact same campaign, your ROAS is like, let's say 4x, and I take your budget from 30 to 500. Like I've taken someone's sales from 6,000 a day to 12,000 a day just by changing the budgets. That's it. Like, and this is not like skill, right? This is just like so that's one thing. Second thing is multiple ad groups. Because we cannot control how Amazon splits the budget between the groups. You have a $1,000 campaign budget, and then you have 3 ad groups. You expect 333 on each one, but you have no idea, right? One can get 500, one can get 200, one can get whatever. And because of that, you think that you're feeding 3 different like ad groups. You might be feeding one more than the other. And then that other one could actually be the more profitable one, that if you had kept it in its own campaign would have produced better results. So that's another one. Too many keywords per campaign. That's a.
Is there a number that you would suggest keeping, or not necessarily? Just depends.
It's not a science. 5 keywords tops is what I've seen.
Yeah.
Work well for me. It's definitely not a science. I've seen, but this is what I usually do. I go into someone's account and I see that they have 50 keywords in there, and I look, okay, which ones are converting, and there's like usually 5 or 6 or 7, like that, and then the rest are like low impressions, no clicks, no impressions. And so I'm like, you think that you're targeting these keywords, but you're actually not. So if you pause these ones, took them out, put them in their own campaign, they would start producing results. Sometimes, they're just low impressions, but a lot of times it's like you have 20 different keywords. Amazon wants you to convert. So they're like, okay, these ones are the higher search volume ones. And again, I don't know this. This is kind of what I'm feeling. Amazon's like, okay, we want you to convert, because the more you convert, the more money everyone makes. So these ones are higher search volume. These ones are not. These ones might be more profitable, but who cares about profit? We care about number of conversions. Volume. And so that's what I think is going on. So
Nice.
5 is what I'm seeing. Other than that, I'm seeing people will find a keyword that's working in broad. So I put a keyword, electrolyte powder. Unflavored electrolyte powder converts well. So people will negative that and then run it in its own exact match.
Okay.
Huge mistake. If something is bringing revenue, don't pause it. So what has happened is I learned, pause it and move it. So I paused it and I would move it, and then this would stop getting me money because it's paused or negative, and this wouldn't get me money. Why? Right? I'm like, logically, like, this worked here, it should work here. Amazon doesn't work on logic, dude. It's like you don't know. You don't.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
So just
and
don't touch what's working, essentially.
Yeah, don't touch
To a
what's
degree.
working. Yeah, and sometimes I'll jump into people's like campaigns, and I'll never like they have 4 ad groups, and like if it's working, I'm like just leave it.
You don't like try to restructure it if it's
Yeah,
working.
because what happens if I do restructure it and then they lose their sales and then it doesn't work?
Yeah.
I just lost this person thousands of dollars, and so if it's working, I just don't touch it.
I'm curious what your thoughts are on let's say people want to learn, like they want to get better
Yeah,
at PPC and understanding. Obviously, like something clicked
yeah.
with you as you were selling.
Yeah.
You were deep diving into
And I was
understanding
also
advertising.
asking people
Well, yeah,
like
and-
crazy.
and that's a huge piece of it. If someone wants to understand PPC more, if they
Yeah.
want to get better at it, how do you think people should do that?
So the best way is obviously go and learn, but do this. Say you listen to this, right? And you listen to me talk about budgets. So Mina said increase your budgets at least $100 to $100 a day or $200 a day. Take that concept and go and increase your budgets. And then wait and see what happens. It's a controlled experiment. Because I'm a scientist, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
of
controlled
course.
experiment. You're changing one factor at a time. And so see what happens. You increase the budgets and then you monitor. And then you're like, okay, actually, when I increase my budgets, this happened. And now you know.
Yep.
Now you know this thing. And
Yep.
then say, okay, Mina said don't do multiple ad groups. So you usually do multiple ad groups. Try doing only one
And see what happens.
and see what happens. And then you build, because also I don't know everyone's products. Like
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
And how
this
can
works
you?
for a majority, but like sometimes I've come across like Mother's Day gifts, and I'm like, bro, I have no idea. Like,
Well, that's why it's so important to either come to people with
Yeah.
with their products so that you can take a look
Yeah.
at it and see what would change, or for them to learn themselves
Yeah.
how to do it, because
Yeah.
it's so product relative
Yeah.
and so market relative that advice like this is hard to apply to every single person.
it definitely doesn't apply to everything. So whatever I say, whatever anyone says, take it, test it, test one thing at a time, see what happens. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you know that thing didn't work.
How many people do you think actually track changes?
Oh, nothing, dude. I mean, I even didn't. Initially, I was like, I'd listen to a podcast, do it. Listen to a podcast, do it. And I'm like, and then I got to a point, I was like, dude, I'm changing 100 things a day, and like I have no
How do you
idea
know?
what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I went back to like my engineering, like first principles, mindset, which is like, okay, I'm gonna change one thing and see what happens. And so, and then eventually, just I kept adding on that database of like anecdotal experience of like when I do one thing, what happens, and then, and whenever people ask me like, give me PPC advice, I'm like, listen, I'm not telling you what's right or wrong. I'm telling you my experience. So at the end of the day, it's also on you to go and implement it and then get the feedback. And this is still
Love
what
it,
we
man.
do now with our stuff, right?
Yes,
It's
yeah.
like things, sponsor brand and sponsor display and all this stuff. Like nothing's clear cut. So I'm always testing.
Yep.
What is the result? The result is good. Okay, that works.
So let's jump back to the Nootropic company.
Nootropics, yeah.
Yeah. So when did that come out?
So that came actually, I wanted to do something that would add a lot of value to people, education-wise. And I've always I wanted something that was a mix of like a story and like, not just like straight up like giving you PPC advice.
Yeah.
And so I said, what if I did a case study going from zero, like an idea, all the way to launching the product and actually, it's in your hands, it's on
And this
Amazon.
was that product.
This was that. It was a nootropic coffee alternative. So basically, for people that love coffee and hate the negative side effects, right? The jitteriness and all this stuff, I said, okay, I'm gonna create a mix. It has kola nut and guarana, which has natural caffeine. It has MCT oil from coconut cream, so
Nice.
it gives you that like bulletproof effect. So not like a spike and crash, like steady energy.
Yep.
It has lion's manes, cordyceps, and reishi for nootropics. It tastes like coconut, like
Or-
really good. No, not coconut. Sorry, cacao. Really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Hot cocoa. It tastes like campfire hot cocoa. And
Yep.
so I'm like, this is it. And so I went in the groups and I asked people like, what do you hate about coffee? What do you hate about these competitors, Mudwater and Mushroom Latte and Four Sigmatic? And so I got all of the negative stuff eliminated, got all of the positive stuff, added it. I went and I checked, made sure in Whole Foods it was moving, in Erewhon it was moving, in whatever, like online, Amazon, Google, there was trending, everything's trending up. And I'm like, okay, this is a product. And then I showed everyone Like, here's how we went about sourcing the tin cans in China. Here's how we inspected. Here's the freight forwarder, everything. And so it was a full case study.
Nice.
And then we launched it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We
So
did- we
when,
did
when
on
was
T-
the launch? When was the launch of this? Is it? It's relatively new, right?
No,
Or
it
it's
was
a little older?
it was before it was before the last Prosper. So it was around like July.
Okay, nice.
And we raised 12,500 on Kickstarter.
Nice.
So yeah, so
Okay,
we got
okay.
a good start.
Yeah, that's awesome.
600 people approximately purchased the product.
That's awesome.
It funded our first production run.
Yep.
We produced the product, sent it out to people, and we had money left in to fund enough to set it up on Amazon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wrapping things up here.
Cool.
Let's kind of summarize. Main takeaways for you over your experience launching these two brands. You may have done more, but MMA Nutrition and this Nootropic one.
Yeah.
Main takeaways from that experience and your last piece of advice for sellers, brands that are listening right now.
Okay, so main takeaways were do not be cheap on your product development and your listing development. So really quality images, really good copy, really good SEO. PPC will not work if your conversion rate is bad.
Yeah.
So your conversion rate really has to be solid because you're sending traffic through PPC. So invest in that. Whenever you develop a product, don't run after opportunity. Actually create a solution to a problem and make it better than everyone else's solution and validate that there's a lot of demand for that. Don't cut corners, inspect everything. It's going to cost a little bit more money, but it's going to save you thousands and thousands of more than it will cost you. So those are my main takeaways. And never quit. You'll never fail if you never quit. Once you quit, you failed.
Yeah.
So
Love
it's always a learning process. Just every day, keep continuously improving. I mean, to this day, every day I learn something new. Every day I ask like sellers and other agencies, I'm like, what are you guys doing? What is this? And I'm always learning. So
Love that, man. How can people get in touch with you? How can they find you?
How can they find me? Facebook, Mina Elias,
Okay.
MINAELIAS. LinkedIn is the same thing. Instagram is at Egyptian_prescription_Elias. And YouTube, I have a YouTube channel, Mina Elias. So.
Okay, nice. So you're putting out content. You building.
Yeah,
a little bit of
I'm
personal
doing a
brand
mix.
stuff?
So I'm doing some PPC content, some business mindset content, some vlog like lifestyle content. So
You'd be a
it's
good
mix.
vlogger. You'd be a good vlogger.
I think I could.
Yeah, I think you can. I see it.
There's one guy I follow. I'm like, dude, I could definitely do this. It's cool. He lives a cool life.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Well, Mina, thank you for taking time. Love the knowledge. Love the wisdom. Looking
Awesome.
forward to next time.
Take it easy, guys.